Hi everyone, I'm Sophia and today I'm going to be talking about my 3 favorite films and just kind of telling you a little bit about them and why I love them so much. I think this is going to be like a part 1 because I have a lot of favorite films. This was originally going to be like top 5, but I narrowed it down to 3 just for this video, so I think, I'll do another video with either 5 more of my favorite movies or 3 more. I'm not quite sure yet. Well, the original idea was to do like a top 10, but that would I ramble a lot, so that would just be way too much. So I'm going to be doing my top 3. So I'm going to be counting down, so starting with my 3rd favorite movie, which is Arrival. Arrival stars Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, and Forest Whitaker, as well as Michael Stuhlbarg, and it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who is just such an amazing director. I mean, he created this amazing film, which I love so much, and just yesterday I watched Enemy, which still have no idea what that movie was about. I am still so confused. The spiders and everything are just, if you know what I'm talking about, it's a crazy movie. But I love Jake Gyllenhaal, and there's 2 Jake Gyllenhaals in it, so it's just kind of the perfect movie. Yeah, he's amazing. So the premise of the movie is basically after aliens land on Earth, a linguistics professor named Louise is asked to join a team that is going to Montana to basically find out why these aliens landed on Earth and what their intention and purpose of being on Earth is. And the aliens, or heptapods, landed in a bunch of separate locations. I don't quite remember how many, but one of them was Montana, so that's why they had to go there. So that was Louise's purpose of going there. However, after she meets them for the first time, she starts having, for lack of a better word, visions or dreams. And she doesn't quite understand what they mean or what they are. So she's there to basically try and understand their language and teach them their language so that they can communicate with one another and then find out their purpose on Earth and why they came. The way I like to think of it is it's not a story about aliens, it's the story of a woman whose life is forever changed after meeting said aliens or heptapods. So I hope that was a good enough synopsis. I hope you understand the movie a little bit, but now I'm going to go into why I love it so much. So the first time I ever watched it, when the credits rolled, I was like, huh? I had no idea what it meant, which is exactly what happened with Enemy. Denis Villeneuve he knows how to confuse audiences. And then, stupidly of me, the second time I ever watched it was on Mother's Day, and I showed it to my mom, which was so stupid because what's so interesting about this movie, and one thing I love about movies, is interpretation, and a lot of people I've noticed interpret this movie as more melancholic or even a bit happy, when I've seen the movie probably about like 6 times, and I always thought of it as a sad movie. With that knowledge, I still showed it to my mom on Mother's Day, and it ruined her. It was a very bad decision. So that was the second time I watched it, and it got me. Like, I was so confused the first time that I didn't understand it, and it didn't affect me. There was no emotional impact. And then the second time I watched it, it hit, and it got me. I cried, and I had more of an understanding, and that was when it became one of my favorites. So I watched it quite a few times since, and each time I find something new about it, or I discover something that I didn't before, which one of my favorite things about movies is rewatching them and noticing something that you didn't, the previous watch, and it's like the coolest feeling ever, being like, oh wow, I didn't get that the first time, and then you get it, and you just have even more of an appreciation for it, which is the case for Arrival. Every single time I watch it, I'm just dumbfounded. I'm like, that is just, what a beautiful film. But yeah, so getting into the details of why I love it so much, I mean, number 1 would be Amy Adams' performance. She is one of my favorite actresses. She is just otherworldly, which is kind of a pun because, these creatures in the movie come from another world. But her performance was transcendent. She made you feel everything that she felt, and just with subtle expressions, she was able to convey all the emotions that she was feeling with her brilliant acting. She's amazing. She did so well in this role as Louise. I'm so grateful that she brought this character to life and she gave it depth. And then another thing is the score. So the score is composed by, I believe, I believe you pronounce his name Johan Johansson. I'm probably butchering that, and I'm so sorry, but it was composed by him. The score is amazing, and he was a great composer. My favorite part about the soundtrack is the use of On the Nature of Daylight by Max Richter, which has become one of my all-time favorite pieces of music. That's another thing that I always associated with sadness, and then found out that a lot of people associate it with melancholy, and it's such a weird mix of sadness and happiness and joy and hope when I listen to that piece. I don't really listen to it that often because it's so like emotional. That sounds stupid, but it really is just like kind of one of those once in a while things where it just kind of I just need to hear that song. And one time I was on a drive, and that song came on, and like the sun was setting, and like the sun was like in my eyes, but like in a good way. Like it wasn't blinding me, like I could see while I was driving. And I was driving like a scenic route that I always drive on. It was really cool. Just the fact that a piece of music can do that is it's incredible. That piece is actually used. It's also used in Shutter Island, as well as Stranger Than Fiction, both fantastic movies, and also Jiro Dreams of Sushi, which I remember watching with my brother so many years ago. I don't even think I finished it. The camera stopped recording. I'm not entirely sure when. I was just basically rambling on about On the Nature of Daylight. In summary, On the Nature of Daylight is just a beautiful piece of music that is used in the film, and it's used perfectly in the film at the beginning and at the end. And it just like the film right off the bat just like hits you. It's a beautiful entrance to the movie. A deeply saddening entrance to the movie, but also just Denis Villeneuve he's incredible. With the movie itself, it's such a good story, and Denis Villeneuve decides to take a non-linear approach, which I have a thing for non-linear storytelling. You're watching this woman go through these experiences that she doesn't understand, and you don't understand yet either. And then by the end of the movie, when you do understand, you're just like, wow, like that's crazy. It's quite a heavy movie if you look at it one way, and then if you look at it a completely different way, it's very ethereal, and I love the different interpretations of this film because there's so many different ways that you can look at it. Yeah, so those are just a few things. Just trust me, just a few things I love about the movie. There's so many more, but this movie would be an hour long if I chose to just talk about Rival. So we're gonna move on to movie number 2, which is Lady Bird. I can't even begin to describe how much this film means to me. Saoirse Ronan is my favorite actress, hands down. She is just amazing in everything she does, and she's also just such a cool human being, and I love Saoirse Ronan. I would love to be her best friend more than anything. And then Timothée Chalamet is also in this movie, and I fell in love with Timothée Chalamet around when Call Me By Your Name came out. He is a force to be reckoned with, Timothée Chalamet. He's amazing. And Saoirse Ronan and Timothée Chalamet are just like the perfect combination. Not really their characters in the film necessarily, but those two together are just amazing to watch on screen. And it also has Beanie Feldstein in it, who I love because she's also in Booksmart, which is another incredible movie. Lady Bird is directed by Greta Gerwig, who is, I could go on and on about her as well. She is just an amazing director. I love her so much. Little Women, Lady Bird, and then she's going to be directing Barbie. It's like she's one of the best working directors, hands down. I actually haven't seen any of the movies that she's acted in, but they're totally on my list. Like Frances Ha, I need to get on that. But the actual movie is a coming-of-age story revolving around a relationship between a mother and a daughter. So the daughter's name is Christine, but she gave herself the name Lady Bird. So she's a young girl in her senior year of high school who just yearns to get out of Sacramento and move to New York and go to college there to become a writer. And her mother, played by Laurie Metcalf, just tries to support her through tough love and just kind of the only ways she really knows how. But their personalities clash, creating a very complex relationship between the two. But Marion, the mother, really just wants what's best for her daughter. And throughout the movie, Lady Bird goes through the typical teenage experiences like love and heartbreak, and just kind of going through all the complications that come with being a teenager. So what I love about this movie is obviously Saoirse Ronan, because she is, you know, I could go on and on about her. What I love most about this movie, I just love how raw, realistic, and relatable, the 3 R's, Greta Gerwig's storytelling is. She creates this flawed character who you root for. She's stubborn and impulsive, but she's kind and empathetic, and really she's not one-dimensional. She has a lot of depth, and she's funny and she's smart, and you just relate to her because she's just a teenager doing teenage things. You know, she has acne and she has insecurities, and I love that Greta Gerwig just, you know, made a female character that just isn't one thing and isn't objectified, or, you know, all the things that unfortunately come with a lot of female storytelling, I guess, or, you know, the telling of stories about females. That probably didn't make sense, but I think hopefully you know what I mean. I just love that so much, and the movie is just, it's so heartwarming and beautiful, and it's one of my comfort films. It's, you know, one of my favorite films, of course. So moving on to my #1 favorite movie of all time, which is Interstellar. And anyone who knows me knows that I can talk about this movie for so many hours, you know, to the point where it gets nauseating. It's one of the reasons why I got into film. It's the reason why I started playing piano, because I wanted to learn the Interstellar main theme, which is one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever. Thank you, Hans Zimmer. I love this movie so much, and I talk about it a lot, and this definitely will be the last that you hear of me talking about this movie, because I love it so much. The main character is Cooper, who is a widowed father to Tom, his oldest son, and Murph, his youngest daughter. And he's a farmer who longs for a life of exploration that he never got. It almost haunts him in a way that he never got to do what he feels that he was meant to do, which is exploring. However, when he discovers the coordinates to NASA after a dust storm, Cooper is recruited to abort a mission that is setting out to find another planet that could sustain human life and escape their dying world, because it's being plagued by dust storms. But that means that he has to leave his 2 kids, and he doesn't know how long he'll be gone. You always hear Interstellar being described this way, that it's not a story about space, but a story about love, and that is 100% true. It's, you know, I feel so cheesy talking about this movie, but it really just, it is a very powerful movie about love and the relationship between a father and a daughter, how that means much more than we think, how, you know, connections between people can transcend more than just this world. Christopher Nolan, the director, who is amazing, I hear him get a lot of criticism for, you know, just the whole, oh, love solves everything, you know, love can save the world. But, like, you know, when you look at it that way, yeah, it seems like a cheesy movie, but it's so much more than that. Of course, it's my favorite movie, so that's gonna upset me, but people are allowed to have different opinions, of course. But for me, I think that instead of cheesy, it's very moving. One of my favorite things is the score, composed by God himself, Hans Zimmer, who is just, I know I'm going on and on about all these people, but he's incredible. He's my favorite composer, hands down. With Inception and Dunkirk, he's such a talented composer. But this score is just, oh my god, I could just go on and on, but I don't even know what to say. It's so beautiful, and this film wouldn't be what it is without it. You know, I have no trouble saying that. It really is, you know, the score makes the movie. The score is just so beautiful and just creates this amazing feeling of a little bit of sadness and hope, kind of, you know, like I was talking about on The Nature of Daylight. I find that those two are very similar for me, in that they like I said, like, they have sadness and hope, but then, you know, there's like No Time for Caution, which is a piece from the score, and it's just, it's so suspenseful. He knows how to make a song fit so perfectly with the scene. My camera stopped recording again. I was talking about my one of my favorite pieces from the score, which is Stay, the Morse code version, because there's also just like the regular word version, and just how powerful that is and how much I love it. So the score overall is just, it's incredible. I love it so much. Another thing that I love about this movie is the cinematography. It is quite literally out of this world. The shots of space are just insane. A fun fact, so I think it was around a year ago when they finally got an image of a black hole, and it was so similar to the black hole in Interstellar, which is so cool because Kip S. Thorne was actually a consultant on the movie, and he helped a lot with, you know, the science, because most of the science in the movie is real. It's just kind of towards the end when they kind of bend the rules a little bit when it comes to that, which, you know, it's a science fiction movie, so that's super cool about the movie. But the shots of space and the Endurance, which is the spaceship that they're on, is just, it's breathtaking. The cinematography is amazing. Oh, and Timothée Chalamet is also in this movie, so, you know, there's just so many things to love about this movie. Another one is the performances, mainly by Matthew McConaughey. I think that Matthew McConaughey should totally have been nominated for Best Actor. He was insane in this movie. I mean, he portrayed a father who wanted nothing more than to get back to his kids so well. There's also so many ways you can interpret this movie. There's the argument that he was a bit selfish for leaving his kids, and I think there was a bit of selfishness involved. I think that he did choose to explore over, you know, I mean, his kids needed him, and that was proven later in the movie that his kids needed him and he wasn't there. I think that he was a little bit selfish for leaving because all he wanted to do was explore, and he finally got that chance and he chose that over his kids. And I think that it is more complicated than that. It's not black and white whatsoever. There's a lot of gray area when it comes to his relationship with his family, which I think is one of the most interesting parts of the movie and one of the things I love so much about it. Getting off topic a little bit. But yeah, so Matthew McConaughey, there's a bookshelf scene, which if you watch, you know what I'm talking about, that is just, I mean, my favorite scene in the movie involves the bookshelf scene, and you know, older Murph, played by Jessica Chastain, who's also amazing. So the main cast is Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, Anne Hathaway, Michael Caine, of course, because it couldn't be a Christopher Nolan movie without Michael Caine, and then Mackenzie Foy and Timothée Chalamet, and as well as John Lithgow, who I love his character so much. He plays the grandfather, and he delivers some of the best one-liners, and also some actually sage words of advice to, you know, one of the main characters. So Matthew McConaughey just does an amazing job portraying Cooper. And Jessica Chastain also, I know I know I'm being very redundant, but she gives so much depth to a character and portrays Murph and her pain, like her deep pain that stems from her father leaving her, essentially, which is up for debate a little bit, but she just does an amazing job. She definitely should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress, 100%. She was incredible in that movie, and I love her so much. And Murph is one of my all-time favorite characters, and it's because of Jessica Chastain. And then Anne Hathaway also is just, she's amazing. I love her. She's also one of my favorite actresses. She plays Amelia Brand, the daughter of Professor Brand, who is the creator of the team. So yeah, Anne Hathaway also does an amazing job. There's a lot to unpack with the movie, and it's hard for me to put into words just my immense love for it. It's such a deep, powerful, and meaningful movie, and one that it'll stick with you and you'll think about it for days after you watch it, and I don't think for me at least, it'll never leave me, and it has so much importance in my life. My love for film developed because of this movie, because of Interstellar, as well as, you know, my love for music, and as well as, you know, it's the reason why I started playing piano, which, you know, brings so much joy to my life. So I think I'm going to end the video there. So those are my top 3 films, Arrival, Lady Bird, and Interstellar. I hope I didn't talk too fast and that you can actually understand what I'm saying, because that's a problem that I have. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed me talking about these movies that I love so much and are so, you know, near and dear to my heart. And I hope you guys check them out because they're outstanding, all of them. I think that's all I have to say. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.